I've always been of the mindset, though, that it's a quality of life thing. As soon as my quality of life starts to decline enough, right, to a certain point where, okay, I can't do the things that I really want to be doing, I'm going to go seek out that potential solution to the problem.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. All right, Be It Babe, here we go. We got a health and wellness talk for you. This is going to be great. This is, ladies and the few good men who listen, I just want to say, I know how busy you are. I know how much you've got on your plate. And I know you have ignored an ache or a pain for longer than you should. And today's guest is Dr. Andrew Fix. He's from the Physio Room, and he also has an amazing podcast. And what we're talking about today is hopefully the pep talk you need to take care of the body that you have. And it's really, really, really cool what he's doing. And also we got to really talk about the things that we can all be doing to take care of the vessels, these bodies that we have, so we can grow older and stronger. And Dr. Marie Claire said on a podcast, she's like, well, everything we do is to stay out of hospice, out of an old folks home. And that's really it. I'm not trying to be dark here. I'm 41 and I know I have at least 40 plus years of life ahead of me. And I want to live all of those as actively as possible on my own. And I'm sure you do too. I'm sure that no one is I can't wait till I'm in the old folks home. But every time we delay supporting our bodies and getting what they need, we are chipping away at that goal. So here is Dr. Andrew Fix. All right, babe, I'm really excited. Actually, we're going to have a really fun conversation with our guest today because, this person does things in life that I actually really like, I subscribe to, and also has a really great mindset that I think we all are going to agree about. And all just need the reminder. So Dr. Andrew Fix is in the house today. Andrew, can you tell everyone who you are and what you rock at?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lesley. Appreciate being here. And it's fun when we get two podcasters together. As you said, my name is Dr. Andrew Fix. Please call me Andrew. I am a physical therapist. I reside here right outside of Denver, Colorado, and I help run a practice called Physio Room. So we have a very fitness-forward, performance-based physical therapy practice, and our goal is to help people reset, restore, reload, and get back to the things that they love to do, whether or not that involves them working with us in person, working with us virtually, however that process takes place. And what we really pride ourselves on is this quality over quantity approach. And we don't let the red tape and the strings tied with healthcare in this country hold us back from helping people achieve the outcomes that they're looking for.
I love that you speaking my language. I say I'm a Pilates instructor, and the way that I teach Pilates, which is you'll know you're in a great class if everything is 3 to 5 reps, because it is quality movement over quantity of movement. So you find yourself doing 10 to 15 of the same thing, you're doing a metabolic workout. So I love that. So I guess I want to start with how did you do that? And, because I don't know that we have all these physical therapists listening, but we have a lot of people who've tried to go to physical therapists. You have to wait for the script to get the script. You go there, you're there for your knee, but your hip's also hurting, but they can only do the knee because that's what the thing says. So how did you work around that? And how did you get here?
Yeah, you just make me chuckle having that conversation because it's one that we know all too well. And I love that you said people that are listening probably have tried physical therapy before, because I think a lot of times that's what it is, right? Somebody goes to physical therapy, or I shouldn't even say goes, they go see their physician, they get a referral for physical therapy. And oftentimes the physician that they saw says, well, why don't you just go try physical therapy? They say it in a way that they're not even expecting it to help. As opposed to just saying go do this and I expect this to help you feel better. They say, why don't you just go try it? So many times people's mindset is already made up. They're not really expecting it to help when they even walk in the door, and they didn't want to be there anyways. And that's the type of office that I spent the first half of my career in, was the more traditional office where clients are coming in with that referral. They're utilizing their health insurance. And like you said, we have to work on the thing that the referral says, the knee, the back, the whatever they were sent in for. But if that individual comes into the office with a different complaint on a particular day, the insurance company doesn't want us working on those things, right? If someone's coming in for their neck, but now they sprained their ankle yesterday on a hike, we're not supposed to work on their ankle. So what I decided to do after starting to work with a few clients out of the office in more of a fitness training capacity is I decided to leave that side of the industry. And rather than try to make the more traditional office a traditional, just decided to walk away from that and join a practice, Physio Room, where we work mostly on the out of network side with health insurance. And by doing so, we don't allow the insurance companies to dictate the care that the clients receive in our office. And 99% of the people that come in to work with us are doing that on their own accord. They're choosing to do that. They're finding us direct access, meaning like they're not coming because they received a script from the physician. They're coming because they heard about us from their friend, their family member, online, whatever that was. And they're choosing to come work with us to help get through past an issue that they're dealing with and get back to the activities that they love to do. And because they want to be there and they made the choice, it is so much more fun for us to work with motivated people that want to be addressing the thing and not just someone who is there because their primary care doctor sent them in.
Okay, there's something that came to my mind. It's like, remember when you're like, your parents would like make you go do a sport and you didn't love it, but if you chose it, it was way more exciting.
100%.
Like, I think the work you're doing is, one, it's rewarding because you can do what's needed to be done, but then also the people who are doing it want to be there and they're not coming in like, this is something I gotta do and maybe it'll work. Yeah, I fractured my tibial plateau running.
Ooh.
But I have hypermobile knees. And so I actually tore nothing. So I had a really great, as far as recovery goes, I just couldn't walk on it for like, it was going to be up to 12 weeks, but at 8 weeks, I was able to practice walking. And the surgeon said to me, because he knows a Pilates instructor, and he was really excited. He was like, wow, out of all the knee injury people I have, you've like actually stayed. Like, he looked at me and he's like, you've stayed in the shape that you were in. Like, my right leg had lost a ton of muscle and everything. But as far as the rest of me goes, I had kept my strength though. I said, well, I did Pilates every day because you told me I couldn't put weight on it, but I could do a lot of things without putting weight on it. But he sent me to physical therapist. Like, you could try it. You'll see what happens.
It's so common.
It's so common. And you know what? Of course I went and I was like, this is not helping me. And I did my own, my own work on my own, which is like not something that any physical therapist wants to hear, but it is the attitude of what is being told to us. And I think like attitude is such an important thing. So the people are coming to you are coming in the attitude of like, I heard you can help me. And so then they're more likely to hopefully do their homework.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're more likely to do it because they want to be there. They made the choice. They're also more likely to do it. People don't want to hear this part of it, but the fact that we work with insurance companies in the way that we do on the out of network side, meaning like we are not accepting the rates that insurance companies say that we're worth. We're setting our own rates. We're helping clients potentially try to get a refund back from their insurance company on the back end, but we're not waiting for the insurance company to pay us. So since the client is paying money in the office, they're more likely to do the things that we ask them to do because they're financially involved in it. There's skin in the game.
Yeah.
And it's amazing just moving from the more traditional office to this one, the amount of compliance that there is with clients doing the homework things that we ask them to do. And wouldn't you know, the results come right along with that.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of times one of the reasons that people get bored or don't want to go to the more traditional physical therapy office is because they feel like they're just doing the same thing every time they go in. You know, I'm coming in 2 or 3 times a week for 8 weeks. I'm doing the same little band exercises every time I go. And that's exactly the opposite of what happens in our office, where when someone comes in, we're going to try and do an awesome job assessing not just their knee, but their whole body.
Like what's going on with the rest of the body that screwed the knee up in the first place?
Yes, exactly. Like if we don't get down to like, what are the root cause items here that are causing your symptoms in the first place, then we haven't done our job. So that's what we're going to try to do. And we're going to try to address, and we use a 3-step process we call reset, restore, reload, meaning like we got to put the fire out and calm things down. We need to address the root cause, and then we need to prevent it from coming back and work back to performance and resilience. And what we want to do, we see people less frequently because they're doing the things we ask them to do. So we don't have to see them 3 times a week. We see them once a week or even less than that. And then each time they come in, we're trying to move the needle forward. So you're not going to just keep doing the same exercises for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. We're going to progress as if possible each time you come in to new, more challenging things.
I love that. Okay. So I want to talk to the people who may not be bought into getting help for themselves. Like their pain
Yeah.
isn't bad enough yet.
Yep.
They kind of become like their pain or their ache or their imbalance becomes like a part of them. It's part of their identity.
Yeah.
For example, I have hypermobility in some of my joints. If I were to walk around and just go like, oh, I'm hypermobile, that's just me. I'm just going to have aches and pains because I'm hypermobile, right?
Yeah.
That kind of person. Can we talk about how our attitude around the pain or the imbalance or the thing that we have, if we make it our identity, how that can affect our healing in our future? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. And I think I used to be one of these people. I've dealt with a really, really chronic Achilles problem for years. And up until very, very recently, there was like a 3-year period where I had stopped running because my Achilles was stopping me from doing it. And I kind of started to get into this mindset of, well, I'm just going to have this Achilles problem for so long because I, knowing what I know, have struggled to get it to feel better. I have gone down pretty much everything besides an Achilles repair from a medical management standpoint. But then recently, through some consistency and starting to just get back to the activities that I was avoiding, I've started to have more success and it's actually feeling better. And I'm back to doing those things and it's starting to change my mindset around it because I was getting discouraged. So I think the mind is such a powerful tool. And what's that saying? Like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Well, what's also going to happen is the more you keep telling yourself something, of course, you're going to be that, right? If you keep telling yourself, well, I'm the woman or the man with the bad back, well, then you're always going to have a bad back because that's what you keep telling yourself every single day. If we can flip that story around and say, yeah, I used to have back pain, but I'm doing the things to improve it so that in the future I can do X, Y, and Z, then you can start to change that narrative for yourself. But, you mentioned pain. Pain is a big motivator for people. And a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to work with them until their pain is bad enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's just something nagging there, but it's more uncomfortable or it's like a bigger step for the person to take the leap to do something about it than to just keep dealing with it. So a lot of times that is the motivator. Like it just finally goes past that threshold where now they have to do something about it. Or it's an event is coming up, like a kid is getting married and their knee pain has, they're afraid it's going to stop them from walking down the aisle or dancing or standing at their daughter's wedding. And unfortunately, that's the case, that those big things have to be the motivator when, from my perspective in our profession, it's so much easier if we can just work on these things sooner.
Yeah.
And if we can see a person immediately when something starts bothering them or within like a few days, it is so much faster to clear up. They get to go back to the things they want to do so much quicker without as much, and it costs less too. So, I mean, there's really no reason not to, but sometimes that motivation is not
cost less is key, you guys. And also like you get more out of your life. It's really funny. I have people come to me at 60 and they're like, I have shoulder pain and I have back pain and I want to work on my posture. And I'm like, so here's the deal. Would have been really awesome if we'd started this at 40. Just going to be honest. Like there's only so much I can do with you at this moment in our life, because if you wait till it gets bad enough, there's more damage than if it was just like in that the chain reaction has gone down. I had a client who she had something going on with one of her knees. It like went inward when she walked and she had this major pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, babe, I think like there's not much I can do here. Here's what I can do. I can strengthen the muscles around it. I can strengthen this, but like that's surgical. You're going to need to do it. She's like, well, my doctor wants to wait until the pain is worse. And I'm like, I would get a new doctor. I can see you need surgery. I can see it. And she's like, well, I want to wait until it's bad enough. And I said, okay, just so you know, you're only going to be this young today. Every year you wait, you're older and your recovery takes longer. And sure enough, what ended up happening is by the time she had surgery on her bad knee, she had to have surgery 6 months later on the good one. Right? Because she overused it. Like it took on so much work at the end. And so she ended up having 2 knee surgeries.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it sounds like maybe that was like a knee replacement that person was having or something. And I've always been of the mindset, I have had, a few surgeries myself. So I anticipate that I'm going to need a hip replacement surgery in the future because I've had multiple hip surgeries now. And that, I mean, that's one of the things that just makes it more likely that that joint is going to have significant arthritis later. If you've had significant injury or trauma to it, or if you've had a surgery before, it's likely you'll get bad arthritis in that joint. Don't worry, that's not the end of the world, because that doesn't mean we can't do things. So
Yeah.
I've always been of the mindset, though, that it's a quality of life thing. As soon as my quality of life starts to decline enough, right, to a certain point where, okay, I can't do the things that I really want to be doing, I'm going to go seek out that potential solution to the problem. And if that means that I have to have my hip replaced twice in my lifetime because I want to be doing these higher level things, well, then I'll just do that rather than wait so long and just deal with it so that I only have to have that surgery once. But that's a lot of times what the surgeons are trying to do, is they're trying to push people later in age so that they only have to do that procedure one time. And I think sometimes we push past this tipping point on the quality of life, where their quality of life is declining so much that it probably would have been better to just get that surgery 5 years before that.
Yeah, I like what you're talking about. I think it's really interesting. So many people want to put things off. I guess okay, since you've been doing this for a really long time, maybe what we can also talk about is, what have you seen people's quality of life, or maybe like what they've missed out on in waiting to get help, in waiting until the pain is bad enough. And I'm not talking surgeries. I'm talking like going and getting physical therapy, working with someone who actually is trying to bring their body back to balance. What are people missing out on? What have you seen?
Yeah, and this has become even so much more relevant over the past 5 or 6 months. My wife and I have a 5-month-old son, and like, I see so many clients, my colleagues see so many clients, or I've seen in my career too at other clinics that I've worked at, just people who are unable to participate in the activities with their kids and their families that, mentally and emotionally they want to be doing, but physically they just can't do it. And many of those reasons are because they've prioritized other things over their health, right? They've prioritized work, or they've prioritized something else, and they've let their health continue to slip and slip and slip to the point where now you can't go out and play with your kids. Or it's like, it's Thanksgiving and your kids or your nieces and nephews and things, they want to go play football or something. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't throw the ball. My shoulder is no good. I can't run around anymore. And now that we have a son, I mean, my goal is to continue being as active as possible and kicking his butt in all the different sports and activities for as long as I possibly can. So if anyone were to ask me like, well, what are you training for? Why are you working so hard to keep yourself in shape? Aren't you already fit enough? It's like, well, no, because he's going to grow up and he's going to want to do things. And as long as possible, I want to be able to tell him yes whenever he wants to do something. So I think that's maybe the biggest thing, is they miss out on just the activities that require some physical capability with their kids and with their family. One other thing that I think is based on putting things off is we spend a lot of time here in the United States focusing on work, and not enough play and taking care of ourselves. And we have very sedentary jobs that most people do, where we're sitting around a lot and we're paying the price from a physical standpoint. And then I see a lot of people who are older coming into physical therapy, and they've waited until they retired to be able to try and go do the things with their life that they want to do. But now physically they can't enjoy the trips or the vacations or the whatever, because they can't do the things on those trips that they would have been able to do like 30 years ago, or now if they would have just worked really hard to keep themselves physically capable to do those things. So that's one thing I'm trying to, battle as well. Like, I'm not going to wait until I retire to go take the trip of my life when I don't know what I'm going to be able to physically do, but I'm going to work darn hard to keep my body able to do things for as long as possible.
Yeah, I think it's very true. Like I have very active parents, and it wasn't like they were super, I mean, my mom was young. She was 20 when I was born, and 21. And my dad was 30 though. Right. And so like, but he was such an athlete that he just kept it up. And I was just listening to this amazing orthopedic surgeon who was talking about how they have actual studies, they have actual research that says if you are active and if you are keeping your body strong, you actually do not slow down until your 70s. So they were able to take runners, people who are runners, they're as like collegiate sport, professional runners and stuff like that. And they were actually able to follow them over decades. And they had them run a mile. And the 50-year-old was only 30 seconds slower than like a teenager. Like
Yeah.
he was still, no one got lapped. The 70-year-old was slower, but still wasn't lapped. It wasn't like he
Mhm.
was so slow that they were catching up to him. And so what she said is like, if we actually train our bodies to be strong, we can stay that strong in our 70s. And you don't have to have the bone problems and the heart problems and the other problems that we are hearing from people. But if you are sedentary your most of your life, which apparently like people are now sitting up to 14 hours a day, which
Oof.
is just so crazy to me, that what is happening is they're having cardiovascular problems and they're having these imbalances, and then they miss a step because they don't have stability in their hips and their ankles, and then bad
Mhm.
things happen, and then it's like, well, they need to see you now, but they probably needed to see you before because they didn't have the stability in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And, I just get jazzed up hearing you talk about running, because if there's any subset of clients out there or people that I feel very much like I'm an expert in, it's the running community. And running is one of those sports where, like you said, the level of ability does not drop off until you get quite old. Like we were just watching the Olympics earlier today and watching Simone Biles and Suni Lee and these amazing gymnasts do these crazy things. You're not going to probably see 50-year-old gymnasts doing that type of stuff. But take marathon running or something, for example, like the top times for 50-year-olds are really not that different than the top times for 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds. They're
Mm-hmm.
very close to the same. And it's not until later that you start to see those declining. And it is so much harder to build muscle and build your aerobic capacity, your VO2 max, to improve your heart health later in life than it is to build it now and maintain it for years to come. Like it's so much easier to maintain the muscle mass that you already have on your frame than build it later down the road. So like whatever we can do, whether that's, resistance training, cardiovascular, things like Pilates, to get ourselves into good physical condition and then work to just maintain that, you're going to be so much better off
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you don't use it, you lose it. But if you don't
Mhm.
get it, it's really hard to get.
It's really hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah. I have some questions for you since you're like an expert in all of these things. I guess like the be it till you see it, the act as if,
Mhm.
if we want to be strong, healthy, agile, older adults in our lives, what are
Yep.
some of the things you wished your people were doing before they came to you?
Mhm. Yeah, totally. I think, well, first and foremost, I think everyone just has to remember that each person has to start somewhere, right? I think a lot of times people don't do things, get into an exercise program or start a new way that they eat, a nutrition plan is whatnot, because they're afraid they can't do what they see other people doing, or they're afraid they can't be perfect at it. And we don't have to. If you're not lifting weights now, you don't have to go to the gym 6 days a week in order to start lifting weights. You can go one, or you can just start with body weight things at home. But I think it is so valuable to find a coach or a mentor or a something, right? It doesn't, like, if you don't already have the expertise in that thing, you need to seek out the assistance of somebody that does. There's plenty of great information on the internet, but when you can work with an individual and communicate what you're trying to accomplish and they can help put a plan in place for you, it almost always is going to go better than you just trying to wing it on your own. But man, I can't overstate how important it is that whatever type of diet you choose to follow, that we're getting enough protein in. Because if you do have desires to build more muscle or be more fit, or you're trying to rehab from injuries that you've dealt with, and we're not getting adequate protein or even adequate calories in high quality food, right? Not like super ultra processed things, your body is just not going to have the nutrients that it needs to repair the tissues that you're trying to repair. So I think that's first and foremost. If someone's not already eating a very healthful diet that's high in protein before they come to us, that's something we're going to try to change along the way. And that's not usually a conversation that takes place in a physical therapy clinic, but it does in our physical therapy clinic, which I'm really happy about. I mean, we all know how important sleep is. I had the opportunity to educate our team, but also I've been having this conversation with a lot of clients. Many times people think that having pain is one of the reasons why we don't sleep well. But the research out there on pain and sleep, like pain science and sleep, is the relationship is exactly the other way around.
Oh, okay. You have to tell me
Our
more.
shitty sleep is the reason we have pain, right? And that is much more of a
because we're not
stronger
recovering.
relation. Exactly. Like when we don't sleep well, our body, our nervous system does not recover, does not repair itself. we have a pain processing problem. Like our nervous system doesn't know how to interpret the things that are going on because we have not rested and recovered it. You're more likely to have pain, no matter what kind of pain we're talking about, if you're not sleeping well. So if we're not getting like some high quality sleep, whether it's our podcast or many other smart, influential people out there, there's a lot of information coming about sleep hygiene and how we can improve the quality of our sleep. But I can't overstate how important that is, because there's a big reason we are supposed to spend like a third of our life sleeping so that we can really take advantage of the other 2/3 of our life.
Yeah, I don't have kids, but I have dogs. And something I love about dogs is what dogs do is they sleep when they want to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
They stretch. Like their body just starts stretching,
Immediately when they wake up.
Yeah, they're like, okay, if they need a stretch, they take that stretch. Like they're so good. And then they're super active when they're active. And not that we need as much sleep as they do. They need more because their hearts are going so fast. But I just really admire just how present they are. And then on the sleep thing, I struggle with sleep so very much. That's about 5 years ago. But I just struggled. Would get like 90 minutes at a time. Just couldn't fall. I could fall asleep. I couldn't stay asleep. And it's very fascinating. It's because it was the stress caused all these other issues. And so I had to like focus on like, okay, how do I de-stress while I'm trying to make my business work in a very hard environment? I love LA, but it is a hustle. There's a hustle whenever I visit LA. Like you just start to feel like you can just feel like a little hummingbird. But as I started to figure out that was going on in the last 5 months, I've been able to dive even deeper onto my sleep. So 2 years ago, I started doing a lot of stuff that I learned from like some sleep hygiene, some different podcasts, and trying to like cold plunging, making sure that I was my red light at a certain time, all this stuff. And it all really, really did help. And then recently I was having some sleep stuff, and I talked to a doctor about it, and I got some bioidenticals for progesterone. You guys, there is 2 weeks a month I sleep like a freaking... It's amazing. It's amazing. But what happened is it's actually retrained the other parts of my cycle and my sleep. And now I'm getting like my sleep scores are in the 80s and 90s always, even if I'm only getting 6.5 hours because I had a short night or whatever. It's kind of amazing how you have to just retrain your body. But I'm getting more, almost 2 hours and I have deep sleep, which is just great. Yeah. And the aches and pains in my body went away. Like they just, just that stuff. I'm like, just not recovering well at the gym. I'm not injured. So I love that you brought up sleep. I think that's such an amazing thing that people can focus on today before they need anything. I want to ask you, what are you most excited about right now? What are you working on? What's an exciting thing you're working on?
Oh man, I guess the thing I'm most excited about right now has nothing to do with work or what I'm working on, but it has everything to do with being a new father. Is we're going to be leaving next week to take our little boy back home for his first trip back to meet all the rest of my family that hasn't flown out here to meet him. So I'm super pumped up about that. But
Brave. You're going to fly?
Yeah. Yep. This will be his second flight. My wife, she took him on the first one solo. So she knocked that out and he did a great job. But this will be my first time flying with him. So I'm pretty pumped up about that. Other than that, I think the thing I'm most excited about that we're working on right now within our practice and like within our profession is we've got some new team members coming onto the team. And each time we bring a new person on, we try to bring on a new niche specific specialist. So like whether that's Pilates or running or weightlifting or golf or whatever that is. And we've got 2 new people joining our team that both are moving here from out of state. And man, I'm just so pumped up to continue to see our team flourish and grow. Yeah, it's going to be awesome once they're here in about a month.
That is so cool. That is so fun. I love hearing that because it's like you can have a big vision and it takes time to get those other parts of that vision in, but that you can attract, that you're doing, what you're doing is so cool that you're attracting people to move in from out of town. That's amazing.
Yeah, didn't even think that was something that would happen. Right.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we're going to take a brief break and then find out how people can find you, follow you, work with you. All right, Andrew, where do you like to hang out? Where can people connect with you? You said you also work with people virtually. Where should they be looking up?
Our practice, I think I said this at the beginning, is called Physio Room. So you can find us online at all the different places. That's physioroomco.com. So PHYSIO, room, CO for Colorado.com. And whether that's Instagram or our website, you'll find it all there. We have a pretty easy online booking platform and everything like that. So if someone wanted to set something up, we have e-visits, like I said, those virtual ones. And then for myself personally, Instagram's probably the platform that I'm the most active on. And my handle is just Dr. Andrew Fix. That's F as in Frank, IX at the end. The other thing that I'm super pumped up about is our health and wellness podcast. That's called The Code, a guide to health and human performance. And whatever podcast platform you're listening to this one on, you can find ours on the same one. So whether that's Apple or Spotify, The Code, A Guide to Health and Human Performance. And we dive into all the things, whether that's sleep, nutrition, movement, and exercise, all the things that you can do to crack the code on how to optimize your health.
That's so cool. That's so fun. I think that'll be fun to listen to. Okay, you've given us some great stuff, some great tips, but bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted steps people can take to be it till they see it. What do you have for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have, and this is the whole reason I'm here, that we're even having this conversation in the first place, is if something's not working for you, right? If something's not serving you, you're waking up every day and you're not looking forward to going to the job you're working at, or you're unhappy in the relationship you're in or anything like that. I like to say, use your mind, obviously, and like think about things and plan things out, but follow and trust your gut when you're making these decisions. And if something's just not sitting right with you, you just got to trust your gut and go with it and make the decision and make some action. And then the plans will start to fall into place, right? I spent a lot of time before deciding on this gut decision to leave the practice I was with and walk away from the stable, cushy environment and everything like that and just take a chance. And we moved out here to Colorado, trying to like plan and have everything be perfect before actually doing anything, and just procrastinating because I tend to be a perfectionist. And what has always gone better in my life is if I just start doing something and then figure out the finer details along the way. Just start going now and then figure it out. So whether we talked about exercise before, like if you're unsure of what to do, just start doing something. It doesn't really matter that much, the fine details, just start doing something, and then you'll build that momentum, and then you can optimize and like fine tune things along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the perfectionist listening, that was very much for you, which is most of you who are listening. Like attracts like, guys. I spotted, I got it. Andrew, this has been wonderful. So fun. I love what you're doing out there. I love the outlook you have on these things and really how you're trying to empower people to take care of themselves sooner rather than later. So thank you so much. Congratulations on your son and all that you guys are doing together. I'm excited to see how you keep up with him. Y'all, how are you going to use these tips in your life? Make sure that you tag Andrew, tag the Beit Pod, and then share this with a friend. Share this with a friend who calls himself I just got a bad back all the time. That's their excuse for not going on a trip. That's their excuse for not flying or taking a thing. They need to hear this, and you probably have told them that they can go get help, but sometimes it takes someone else saying the exact same thing. Sometimes it takes someone with the word doctor in front of their name to make them take action. So please share this with a friend. And until next time, be it till you see it. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Beit Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeitPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.